Welcome to the ATP Project. You're with your host, Matt and Jeff. G'day, mate.
G'day.
Now, today we were with the famous Anne-Marie. Now, I'm going to get you to pronounce your last name because apparently I said it wrong in the...
Everybody does. So that's why I stopped using it. Yes.
I knew it as Lassere.
It's Lassere. It's French.
It's French. Well,
it's French.
It's like my last name, Deutsch, but it's actually Douage. No, it's not really. But right. I like to make it sound fancy.
Yeah. So my whole career, most people was Lassere, Lassie, Lassere. It's Lassere.
Lassere.
So I dropped it for most of the years because I went with Anne and last name Marie because it was just easier.
Anne-Marie.
And I treated myself like Madonna. And that's it. One name, one word. It was easy.
Nice.
Yep.
And it's hyphenated Anne-Marie?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Now, let's do a quick introduction on who you are because we met back in 2002, but let's get to that later. But Anne-Marie, who are you for people who, and we're talking to a lot of people. I appreciate a lot of people in the fitness industry, specifically in Australia, but also globally, know who you are because you've competed in fitness, and I get the federations mixed up, but not, was it figure and
Yeah, I started out in figure, so I made my debut in IFBB amateur back in 2002, and then proceeded to compete at a world level with IFBB, traded over to a company called NABA, so I had a lot of success with that company, and that was sort of allowed me to express myself as an athlete in the best way, and we had a lot of notoriety and probably had more foundation there. And then I came back to IFBB and was offered a position to compete for my pro card, and that was
when was that? What year?
2013 I turned pro after being put on probation for 12 months, and I'll go into that later. Yeah, and then was approached by another company, WBFF, which I happily retired with. And so I went through the whole genre of figure, proceeded up to physique, had to compete as a bodybuilder, which to this day was, to me, was an unfortunate part of the process. And then came back down as pro physique and then finished my career at figure. So
and so for people in the fitness industry, they're going to know exactly what that is. For the layperson out there that want to know about the dark side of the industry, the good side, that, I mean, obviously people want to be fit and they want to be healthy. Typically, people would see all these names and titles, they're not 100% sure, but it just comes down to women that are competing at a very high level with different amounts of muscle depending on on what category you're in.
Yeah, that's right. So I started off with figure. So figure is an aesthetically pleasing physique with muscularity, but you are judged on beauty. So regardless of what people say, it doesn't matter what you look like. It does matter what you look like. Yeah, you can factor in aesthetics and general well-being to look at your muscle, but number two in a judging criteria for NABA was beauty.
Wow. Yeah. Okay, I didn't know that.
So so then the look of NABA opposed to the other federations was probably 50% more muscle, and then with bodybuilding was 80% more muscle,
right?
Which I struggled with my type of anatomy, and then physique was scaling back, and then for WFF figure, I had to then drop another 60% muscle. So it's different levels of muscularity conditioning visually on a female physique. So I've been I've gone all the way up and all the way back down, right. and then where I'm at now.
And just to summarize, so what's the order? So it goes bikini, and bikini's now that's the first kind of place?
So when I came out, it was figure open. It was like, if you're a female and you don't want to have too much muscle, you're in figure. So there was no masters, novice, first timers, all that sort of thing. Yeah. So then now it is bikini.
Yep.
Going into fitness, there's figure, physique. And now bodybuilding is probably more so a very small percentage if there is any shows at all. So physique is the new bodybuilding.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. So so all through that's like 20 kilos up and down the ladder of muscle.
Yeah.
So I mean, obviously we've got going way back.
And body fat as well changes, doesn't it?
Like so body fat wise, so definitely. So then if you're looking at a bikini model, I wouldn't like to see them any under 12%.
Yep.
Figure, depending which federation, for NABA, I got down to 3.
Yeah, wow. And for a female, I mean, again.
Yeah, I had no face. Like, I had no face. I'd lost all, even I went down a shoe size. There was no fat left anywhere. And up close,
you went down a shoe size?
Yeah, I did. And my face looked like a twisted up shoe. Like, there was I was tired because there's nothing left.
Yeah.
So then with IFBB figure currently at a pro level, the girls still have beautiful faces. They do have a 6 to almost an 8 pack right down to their groin.
Wow.
And then you look at WBFF figure, the girls are probably as lean as the fitness girls in IFBB. So it's going to range on what each federation considers the best marketable physique.
So you took percentages, but for someone that's just looking, so you're talking about like muscle striations. You don't need the full feathering and muscle striations in a bikini.
No, definitely not. So normally they only see maybe four of the ab line. You see the diagonal 4 structures of the upper abs.
Yep.
For figure, you want to see the 6. For physique, you want to see the whole lot. So it's razor sharp.
So you can be too lean in those.
Absolutely.
And miss out because
absolutely. And then that's where they will query, you should go up a division. Yep. But then it comes down to genetics. So it is quite hard. So I always say to girls, come in the way you want to look.
Yeah.
So then let the category reward you with how you want to look.
Yeah.
So if you don't place and then you question, the top 3 all had bums and cheeks on their face, well, don't do that division unless you want to put a bit more weight on or hold a bit more estrogen in a different way. You don't want to drop yourself down to really low levels.
Yeah. And it's funny how much things have changed over the was it Corey Everson?
So Corey Everson now, like at her last era of winning like multiple Miss Olympias in IFB pro bodybuilding, she'd be lucky to be physique in probably a natural show.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it?
Yeah.
But
her look
then,
was winning back then with her face. There was a lot of plastic surgery and things.
And the other girl, Rachel, I forget her name, with the dark hair.
Yeah, she was the first Miss Olympia.
Yeah, what was her name again? I forget her last name.
She was in a movie. I can't remember.
She was.
Rachel,
Yeah, anyway. Yeah. And this is going back probably late 80s, maybe even mid-80s, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was. Yeah, so and she was even slender again.
And who's the other girl that was in Pumping Iron, the Australian girl? Pumping Iron 2. Bev Francis.
And she was background was powerlifter.
Yeah.
And she was back then was judged almost too muscular.
Yeah.
But you stand her next to some physique girls now, she wouldn't.
Have the male categories changed that much?
They have.
They got the same. Yeah. I mean, they've gone from that classic physique to more of that
thick,
little angry thing.
Well, but it depends what the companies are rewarding, because remember the federations are run as businesses.
Yeah.
So the thing it's a matter of what, it's not so much what the crowd wants to see, it's who's paying to see them and what the sponsors want to see up there.
Yeah, right.
So you won't see an unattractive bikini girl up there, or you won't see someone with.
Well, the blokes wouldn't be judged on beauty, would they? Are they?
I don't think it hurts.
Yes, if the company especially has beauty in the actual opening title of the company's name.
Yeah.
Definitely. So it's all taken into consideration.
Yeah.
So if
you'd have no chance, man.
I was just thinking that. I was wondering if
we'd market you at something. Someone's always got a strength.
Oh, there's a type.
Yeah.
Everyone's
definitely.
got a type. I'm not sure of a type for someone.
Everyone's got someone that finds them beautiful. But but no, and look, things have changed a lot. But with that as well too, and it's interesting, the bikini and the and that would seem to be, and from the outside, and again, I'm certainly not an expert on the different divisions and federations. Yeah. But it seems to be the bikini seems to be the most popular now because it's very marketable, correct?
Definitely. Okay, so when you're looking at the shows back, earlier, mid 2004 to 2010, numbers were dropping for the show. So the thing is, if you're running a show as a company and then you've got subcontractors under you, so if you've got your national titles and then the girls qualify or athletes qualify to go overseas, all your state titles have to have participants. So what was happening? You get one who was a definite winner, say in figure, and then you got just the rest. So then there was no one else coming through the ranks. So then they developed bikini division.
Yeah.
So that was a more achievable, approachable class for general population to go, you know what, I'd like to get up on stage, I can do that. So then doing that, it then brought not just the client, you then got the family comes, the friends come, and then you've got the little fans from the gym come, and then you get a whole mass produce, hence why they brought physique in for guys.
Yeah.
Same thing. So bodybuilding to me was dying.
So the whole reason why I wanted to talk about the industry and the history, and like obviously there's a lot that you can share from being in it, and obviously you're coaching girls now that are also competing in different federations.
Different federations. I actually stopped for a while as well. Probably I had been coaching sports support probably for the first start of my career, and then I got into aesthetic training. So I was helping a lot of dancers look a certain way, and so they weren't fatiguing while they were performing. And then obviously with my experience with bodybuilding, helping girls. But I think towards the end of 2015, I started to become quite, not jaded, but disconnected from a lot of girls when girls were coming through, and I was getting approached by a lot of clients who had been handed on from other coaches with probably serious medical problems.
Wow.
And yeah, and that was the thing. And then I'd have a conversation with, it'd be a young girl, 21 to 24, had been training maybe 12 months, and they'd be extending these protocols to me that they've been following. And I'm like, are you going in race 6 at Eagle Farm? Like, this is
You're
more than I
talking,
would...
when we say protocols, and for the people, and this is the kind of the jux of what I wanted to talk to you today is obviously with the different divisions and federations and different looks, and, you know, obviously changing and augmenting your body became incredibly important. And so females specifically were starting to use steroids and other compounds, cutting agents and diuretics, that obviously were having a huge impact on many of the girls' health.
Absolutely.
And it's the layperson as well too. And I guess sort of to summarize, if you like, what I want to talk about, and again, I'm happy to talk about anything, but is the impact that these decisions and these coaches about how to achieve perfection and what it is starting to wash through into the general population as well too.
Oh, absolutely. And I think so too. As a coach, remember, if someone's trying to make a lifestyle just as a coach, it's about sales. It's about as many girls or many clients you get on the books. And that's not a matter of what quality they are or what you actually can do with a potential athlete. But I think a lot of coaches are saying, look, you only need 12 weeks. I'm going to get you in this condition. I can promise you a top 3 position, when really genetically and where the person is medically, and also to how often they can train, and, you know, what their actual potential is with actually getting to the gym and fitting in their lifestyle, maybe 2 years off. So they're trying to jam 12 weeks of preceded medication and potential jammed into something that's not real, and then forcing their health in a position that was already suspect to start with.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, looking back over the greats of bodybuilding, and I'm sure the same thing in women's as well too, many of these physiques were crafted over the best part of a decade, maybe even longer.
The thing is, you're not going to peak most of the time unless you had a background in a sport, so ex-gymnast, ballerina, someone who had genetically muscle maturity and the depth, and had a lower xenoestrogen in the brown fat cells in their body, or had been not touched by a contraceptive, or had been on a clean eating and had gone through that, you know, college binge stage.
And that would be rare.
Oh, super. I haven't met one.
Yeah. The thing that I found as I came into this industry, you might look at me and think, this guy spent his whole life in this industry, in the gym and eating well.
Surprisingly, he didn't win his best
it's not actually the case. I think I was 140 kilos when we started ATP, big fat hairy guy. But one thing I noticed, because I was a naturopath, so what happened when I came into this industry, people would come to me for like the weird stuff. So I'd get the too hard basket or the not hard enough stuff, or the people that just want a second opinion or a different style of opinion. Yeah. So I came into this industry like as a naturopath. What I found was I had a lot of people coming to me with their case stories, and we get lots of emails every day with people wanting us to help them with their protocols. Yep. And when I hear protocols, I think of nutritional supplements and protein, and then I refer on to the personal trainer to talk more about the diet and exercise and calories and training techniques, and then I work on the other weird stuff. And so what I'd say is, like, yeah, cool, send through your protocol or your supplement plan, and I'm seeing these pharmaceutical drugs, like you're saying, it's a lot of the same sort of. I used to do a lot of work with racehorses, and I recognise some of the things from there. But these are full-on drugs. And then I was talking to a lot of these, and 80% of them were bikini girls. Yeah. And then you hear this common theme where it's like, no, I love training, or like I love to walk my dog, or I love being fit and healthy. I love to do all this sort of stuff. I love to eat clean. I like to watch, and I love researching all this sort of stuff. I started going to the gym, started working with a personal trainer, or not even a personal trainer, just doing my own thing at the gym. Usually the scenario runs like this. So, wow, you've got amazing genetics and such an amazing work ethic. I know that because that's what we get with the emails saying, hey, you should sponsor me. Yep. I've been told I've got amazing genetics and a work ethic and I'm going places. This is your chance. This is your chance to get in quick. I mean, okay, we'll keep an eye on it. Yeah. But the funny thing is what we're finding is people go, I want to be healthy. Okay, so I'm in this industry because I want to look good naked and I want to feel healthy and feel great. Okay, next thing you know, someone's come to them, happens to be a coach or a prep coach usually, that works at the gym and says, your genetics are freaky. I see how hard you work. Let me help you with a diet and exercise plan, and you too could get up on stage. These people had never thought of it often. It's just like, I'm not into this industry because I wanted to get on stage, or maybe some of them have that inclination, but the next thing you know, they're going, oh, you know, your entry position would be bikini. Let's go in and see how we go bikini. Next thing you know, like you're saying, these people, they got a lot of work to do to prep for these things. So they go, well, we need to speed this up. We've got a 12-week plan. That 12-week plan would usually come with a cost. You know, the prep coach will give them, charge them, I don't know, how many thousands of dollars for the prep. And then for that, they got a expectations is they're going to get that same hardcore results that their coach had when he stood on stage, or when I say he or she. But I'm finding a pattern a lot with the male coaches will be sharing protocols that's worked for them, that was given to them by their prep coach, and then they're palming it off to another person thinking it's going to work, because I'm seeing these protocols coming through of like 3 a.m. cardio, so you've got time for your Clenbuterol, so your digestion works for your meal prep, and then you can still train and then get to your work. And then we've got to have these meal plans, and then we're looking at thyroid medication, we're looking at Clenbuterol, which is asthma medication.
We'll give into racehorses.
And then we're looking at the estrogen estrogen blockers. And then here these women will be using testosterones, or they'll be telling me they're playing with some peptide SERMs or SARMs or. And I'm reading these protocols. I'm just like, hang on, what's this about? What are you dying of to need all this medicine?
Exactly.
And then they go, no, I'm competing and I've got 4 weeks to go.
I'm a serious athlete.
And the funny thing is, Matt, I guess from my point of view,
but they did it to be healthy. And I'm sitting there going, you realise that,
'cause it's always
all these problems is you're so far away from healthy. And so how did you get from I have an ambition to be fit and healthy to I will take poison to win a trophy?
Yeah.
But and I think the thing comes from it as well too, Matt, is that there's how would you say this? Without endorsing it, I'm not anti-drugs. I'm not anti, especially for guys.
Any of those things going to help you win a bikini comp?
When you're in an image industry, you can't dismiss it. And some people need it for whatever reasons. Need it. And then if you're thinking that pro bodybuilders are getting up that way, because they're all the same nationally, and all of a sudden, everyone looks that way. No, I'm sorry, you are misguided. They are using something to help enhance their natural physical position to help their anatomy grow and recover. And that's just the way it is.
So in terms then, and this is, I guess, where we have to consider this. The thing that scares me is what Matt said as well too, is that there's a lot of fly-by-night coaches that have been around. And look, I'm not going to make them typical, but a lot of guys that don't understand the hormonal impact of steroids and other compounds on women's physiques that are loading them up to the gills. And this is something you and I spoke about off air that is terrifying you.
It is.
And it's not, and again, it's not so much that we're saying, and we know that a lot of people who know their body and understand their tolerances may use these things to enhance their body, but they understand how to cycle up and how to cycle off, how to limit the damage. But it's for the novices and the new people to the industry that have effectively been sold, hey, you can hit the jackpot, and they're getting loaded up by coaches that are just giving them too much and then effectively dumping and running when their body goes to crap.
But look, I'll take you back from when I first started. Like initially I questioned everything. I probably was a challengeable athlete. The reason why I did question everything, when I first got my first meal plan for my first prep, I did ask, look, you haven't even asked me how heavy I am. You haven't asked me how tall I am, what I do for work.
Is this back in 2002?
How old you are, what stage of development you are?
Because I prepped for that for 2 years.
Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
You prepped for 2 years?
I did.
And it's so funny because we said before, I was at that comp and I thought, oh my gosh, who is this Amazon up on the stage. I was with Tony at the time as well too. Glamour's on.
It was Amazon back then because
I remember.
I used to get remember my height. They go, "Who's that big girl up there?"
Yeah,
it wasn't Glamour. I was big girl.
Yeah. But I remember even saying, and you looked amazing on stage. Notable. I can even remember it was at the Tivoli. I'm positive it was the Tivoli.
He was still talking about it in 2010 when I met him, and that's not even a joke.
Oh,
he was
wow.
like,
Yeah. So I remember.
So back then, and
so that was 2 years of prep.
Yeah, that's 2 years of prep, and then I had said to my coach, "Why? You haven't even asked me like how heavy I am. What did you?" And I was doing 25 aerobic class a week. I was group exercise instructor at the Runaway Sports Super Centre, and I said, "If you give me these calories, I will literally look like a paddle pop stick because I'm genetically not muscular. I'm an ectomorph, and I have dietary issues. I have IBS and whatever at the time, and was suffering anxiety." So I said, why? And then got talking to the other girls in the team. We're all on the same diet, the exact same amount. And then looked at the guys and I said, well, you've just halved the girls. And I said, but please tell me because I'm so interested to learn.
Yeah.
He says, because that's the way it's always been done.
Yeah.
And I said, right. I said, well, we're all different. That's always been done. If you don't like it, get out. And I thought, well
okay. Yeah.
That's hard. And so then...
So did you get out or did you stay in?
No, I questioned. I said, this is ridiculous. I said, but if I can go and prove to you, like, I'll get a blood test. He said, I don't know how to study all that crap. I'm like, okay, so shouldn't we be working out for my energy expenditure and the energy return, blah, blah, blah. And he goes, well, if you can bring something back to me and I'll just go through it. And if your body fat keeps coming down, because we were doing the old-fashioned pinch test, which I still do to this today, I can prove to you that I need to have more calories.
Yeah.
Not more food. I don't want cheat meals or anything. I said, because I'm probably more borderline disordered eating pattern to look a certain way. That's just the way my genetic makeup is. I'll prove to you. But that's the reason why it was different. But I started questioning everything. And then you're coming up through the ranks.
I like that.
And this particular coach passed me on. He says, listen, I think you've gone past me. I don't know what you're talking about anymore. And I said, well, let me just tell you something. I said, I train my clients individually. There's no cut and paste. They're all the same. I said, so I just find it offensive that you're not helping me the way I need to be trained individually. I said, because how could I be doing the same exercises or the same protocols as the other girls? So then I went to another guy and great guy, and then he had made an opinion that you are too muscular. And I said, well, not really that muscular. If you actually look at me the real, I'm only quite little. So then he cut all my food down to 1 meal a day.
Well, hang on. So
so these are top coaches. Let me tell you. So I'm not.
He cut all of your
food gone
to one
meal a day.
Are you serious?
Yeah, 1 meal a day. And he said to me, "You have way too much muscle for a female. You are going to exceed the look that they're looking for and rewarding in Australia."
Is that bikini or
I was figure.
Bigger.
Yeah, figure.
1 meal. My mind is blown.
Yeah, and I'm like, well, and you trust these people. You go, okay, so this is still at food. I'm not even at the other stuff yet.
Sure.
This is just food. So I'm like, okay. So everything in me tells me not to do this, but you trust them. Like he's won multiple titles, whatever. Had other girls in his prep, and I said, okay, so why just 1 meal? Because you have too much muscle, we've got to waste some muscle off. I said, well, no energy. I said, well, hormones are going to crash, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so then what we do, we add the other stuff in your system. What's the other stuff? Well, we'll start using these particular horse steroids and whatever. I said,
do you want to name them? Can you talk about them?
It was stanozol, and the bottle,
which is also in the States known as Winstrol.
Yeah.
As an injection or as a tablet?
It was an injection.
It's an injection.
And I said, well,
that's mainly dihydrotestosterone action.
It does convert to. That's what actually.
But they don't tell you any of that. So one shot could upset you for 20 years.
Yeah. And we spoke about this when you came in last week, and we were talking about that, and that was something that I really wanted to touch on you today.
Yeah.
So as little as one injection for females, depending on your genetic makeup,
that's right,
can have a significant impact.
Absolutely.
That is irreversible for the rest of your life.
But not all of the effects are irreversible because you're doing it for the goal of muscle gain and fat loss.
Yeah, but
that stuff doesn't last.
No.
The other stuff does, though.
Everything else. So your estrogen levels, so your E1 and E3, well, E2 will skyrocket as well. E2 will come back down.
So, Matt, do you want to break that down? Yep.
So basically, E1. So basically, looking at different forms of estrogen.
That's right.
So the dihydrotestosterone or the androgens or the testosterone effect through negative feedback will totally screw around with your testosterone and estrogen ratios that your brain and your ovaries and that are trying to regulate.
Yep.
There's some very striking differences between men and women as well, in the fact that women have ovaries that make eggs and estrogen, and blokes have testicles that make sperm and testosterone. So the negative feedback or the interactions or the the side effects or adverse reactions from these things for men and women are very different, and very different in the women at different stages of their life as well. You'll get a totally different effect in a young school child as you would someone that's been through puberty and that sort of stuff through to the perimenopausal period. But the thing that what I was getting at is that when you have these things, so dihydrotestosterone changes to the brain can be irreversible. Changes to bone can be irreversible. Changes to voice and other aspects like that can be irreversible.
Well, I mean, again,
but you build the muscle, you burn the fat. You've got to maintain. That's the bit that you've got to maintain.
Remember, his goal was not to worry about my health for the next, as I said, next 40 summers.
No, the short-term goal is just the muscle fat, huh?
He says, we're going to get you to that absolute, the pinnacle. And at the time, to get a pro card was like winning the gold ticket to Willy Wonka's.
Yeah.
It was so hard because IFBB back in early 2000, you had to win a world title.
Yeah, right.
You had to win a world title or was top 3 or 4 and to actually look like you had potential. So there was a real onus to get it. And I said, but what happens? What are the aftermath? What do you mean? So that's the coach back then. Well, we're all on it. Well, what happens? And I said to him, well, what happens when you're old? What happens in 2 years' time, 10 years' time? And why isn't there any old female bodybuilders? So that's one thing. I said, I have not seen one older lady at any of these shows. Where are they? What happened to them? Are they that masculine looking now that you don't see them anymore? Or are they that metabolic damage that they don't leave the house? Like, there has to be a future past the show. And that was the question that was never asked till later in my career. So I had to create questions to say, listen, I find I'll take myself very seriously. I said, but I also want to enjoy my life. Yeah, competition is fantastic and I like a healthy way. But my onus always came back to health. And as I said, we spoke off camera the other day. I watched my dad have a heart attack at 6, who has survived, but we still had no reason. So I'm saying cause and effect. If you don't know what the symptoms are and the cause of what's going to happen afterwards, why would I let you do that to me?
And you can see their motives when people use words like pinnacle and peak and that sort of stuff. They're pretty much saying, I'm going to get you to the top and then it's all downhill from you from there.
But then you're then an adversary for sales for them.
Yeah.
So I keep on coming back to coaches, yes, might have a great intention, but it's about sales. That's how they keep their lifestyle.
Yeah.
So when you're having your coaches, and we're flipping forward now, 10, nearly 15 years, it's getting as many clients as you can on the books, paying you a wage, $200 a week, whatever it is, for a 20, could have been longer, a 12-month prep.
Yeah.
And what are they then backing it up with? They're going, here's what you need to do diet-wise. Regardless, people's daily lifetime, like I have clients that have different plans for different days.
So if your goal was for someone for longevity and that, as opposed to, preparing them for a comp, you might look at things like giving them a specific diet and exercise plan. You might review that diet and exercise plan based on their changes in their skin folds. Then you might make changes to their diet and exercise, basically by saying, eat a bit more, eat a little bit differently, train a little bit differently. They're the sort of things you would do before you kept the diet and exercise consistent and used the medications as a variable. So, you know what I mean? Like the thing that I noticed is people have too many variables and there are potentially too many handbrakes. So a lot of people then will just keep some things constant, such as calories in, and then they'll tweak the metabolism with drugs.
Yeah, but why put something into your body that's not necessarily needed? So that's the thing. It's like going, okay, well, here's your food plan, okay, but I don't want you to suffer too much, or this is what we normally do, and you're not coping, and your body fat's not dropping. Let's take X amount of let's take thyroid to get, metabolism going. Let's get the Clenbuterol in your system, and let's make you hard with some processed tablet, which we'll call Anavar, which is, it could be basically anything.
Yeah.
And
that's the other side of it. You might think that you're getting X, Y, Z.
Yeah.
But you might be getting something different. I heard that a lot of, I think girls were using stanozol. Now, stanozol, from my understanding, I'm certainly not an expert, some women like and they can tolerate okay, but a lot of women get virilization in terms of masculizing effects from using stanozol.
Absolutely.
But you might not be taking stanozol, and I've heard other people taking it. Now, typically it's a milky white color, I think, if it's injected.
Like there was one stage there was stuff going around, and it was armor oil.
Yes, I heard that. Yeah. That was actually back around that mid 2000s.
Arm oil, so the stuff that cleans the leather on your cars.
Yeah, a guy was selling it. I think he got done, didn't he?
It was in green bottles. Yeah, because people used to rock up with the gyms, and like I've been on the Gold Coast for a long time, and people would rock up in the boot. Oh, do you need any of this? Do you need any of that?
Yeah.
And the trains come in. Do you need any of this? And I go, what is it?
Yeah.
Well, I've never seen something with a green lid. Like, and if you. Well, no one was really Googling back there.
No.
I go, well, what is it? And he says, oh, no, we've just taken the barcodes off there and there's no serial number, so it's all good to go.
This is obviously the dark side of stuff. So
but the thing is,
so even
because it's illegal, like you can't unless you get doctor's prescription.
In Australia, in Australia and in the US, I think in the UK, I think it's actually still legal if you bring it in for personal use. I think.
In general, in
different countries around the world, steroids.
I'm talking about Australia.
But in Australia,
exactly. With the experience that I've had with clients and the people that I've met around, and then it was considered okay or whatever. But I said, but how do you know what it is? But also too, where did you get it from? So this particular product might have been bought from 6 different people, sitting out in the sun for 6 months, and they go, oh, let's just get the next batch of God knows what.
I used to work a lot with doctors in bioidentical hormones and anti-aging clinics, and work a lot with compounding chemists where we'd do testing, create these protocols. We'd then jump through all these legal hoops to be able to design these products for these people. Everything was monitored and measured, and you'd be taking regular blood tests because everyone was so nervous about hurting someone and getting sued and everything like that. And then you hear this side of the industry. It's the same medications that we used to work with such caution in a medical setting has been handed out in the boot of a car. Like a good example, for example, we were saying before, they give you a certain diet and exercise and go, you're not getting the results I expected. I need to boost your metabolism. Yeah. If you consider things like this, this is a typical scenario. You're cutting your calories to try to burn more fat. When your body's cutting calories, one thing that it does is it slows down metabolism by making a thing called reverse T3, taking your T4 hormone away from making T3 to a pathway called reverse T3 that shuts down your metabolism. Then, if that's happening and you increase those calories and change your training, you can reverse that reverse T3. You can convert that T4 back to T3. But typically what's happened is that's when people will bring in the T3 medication. So what's happening is someone's metabolism slows down, reverse T3 picks up, they go, we've got to add in some T3 because you're showing all these signs of a sluggish thyroid. The T3 then is fighting against the reverse T3. They're not fixing the problem. The body compensates by making more reverse T3, which says, I'm going to have to add more T3, but in my experience and with the protocols that we normally provide, we don't go beyond this level of T3. Let's bring in Clenbuterol. Then the Clenbuterol works as like an adrenaline agonist. So it basically mimics adrenaline to make you run, make everything go faster. So your bronchioles dilate, the heart goes.
And my hands would be shaking like this.
But the other thing that causes a build-up of reverse T3 is stress. So you're taking a drug that resembles the nervous response to stress. You're also taking a drug to compensate for the lack of thyroid hormones, but through negative feedback and make the problem worse. At the end of the day, a manipulation in the calories temporarily or whatever, or the timing of the calories may have been enough to change that metabolic thing without actually going down to that path.
But look, I tell you, it got that crazy, and probably towards the end of 2014, I've been coaching a long time, that I had to bring in an actual clause that you had to get a blood test off your GP or a GP that I recommended before I actually could help you, because there was girls coming in with, and guys, and I said, I don't trust you. I said, one, you smell like horse piss. I said, so I don't know what's in your system from whatever androgens are in you, or your liver is just about to fall out your backside. And I said, or I don't believe what you're doing. I said, I've done your pinch test, and I said, now this is only an indication of what you may or may not be doing. I said, but it is reflecting the fact that something is wrong in your system. You either got heavy metal poisoning, there's metabolic damage, and I said, and I don't trust where you're saying that, where your estrogen levels are. I said, because I know for a fact that you have bought 6 packets of Arimidex off someone at this gym. And I said, and that's just my personal opinion. So I said, to safeguard myself, but also to have a little bit of self-respect for the next 10, 15, 20 years.
When the muscle and fat has gone back. See, that this is the big point that I try to let people understand is you're doing this for the short-term goal to hit your peak or hit your pinnacle for this show in regards to muscle and fat. Please understand that muscle and fat may be lost, maintained, grown, changed over coming months to years or even weeks in some cases. But what stays is changes to bone.
Yep.
The negative feedback disruption in the pituitary gland,
Yep.
the changes to things like microbiome we don't even yet fully understand, heavy metal contamination.
Absolutely.
But also, you have no bloody idea. The funny one now is peptides. Everyone keeps coming to talk to me about peptides and say, I'm on this combination of numbers and letters. Can you tell me what I should do? I said, no, I can't even find data on this on the medical journals. I don't even know. I don't know how to tell you what these peptides are. And
how did they know? So that was
They don't
my
know.
argument. So when I competed at pro level physique, okay, I had 3 12s. Okay, the first show I did, there was a stuff up with the prep probably from 4 weeks out, which I knew it wasn't gonna peak at my best, and we called there was a stuff up as big as France, and I accepted that. So then I came back, and that was fine. Placed 12th again with probably one of the best conditions of my career. They didn't like me. I'm too tall for that division. That's fine, accept it. I think someone critiqued me, I walk like a fairy. Okay, whatever. And then the next show I did, I came in strategically, the right agent, the right sponsor, the right coach, all that sort of stuff, and then still got 12.
Wow.
We don't like you, basically, what they're saying.
Yeah.
So then I spoke to one of the girls who was a former Miss Olympia, and she said, listen, you need to come and see one of my doctors. And I said, what are they going to do? She's going to tell you what you need to do to get to the next level. And he told me, we don't have a name for what you need. We take your bloods, we take your saliva, and we give you, it's called, your batch might be XYZ. Yeah. And I said, but what is the side effects? Oh, we don't know. But if you want to look like the Miss Olympia, and I said, yeah, but surely there's other ways we can get. I said, so I will just accept I genetically do not suit this category.
Yeah.
Before I rapidly walk around
genetically try to manipulate.
Yeah, exactly, and have a clitoris as big as an elbow. Do you know what I mean? So to me, that was not a benefit to me as an athlete, or for to be anything sort of lifestyle for the next 20 years. But then I've coming back to Australia, and then you've got all these clients wanting to do, okay, well, what's the magic pill? What's this? You obviously are doing something. What are you not telling me? Well, this other coach had this, but now I'm on this. And I said, you need to stop and clean yourself out, and we need to look where you're at now. And I said, let's look at this realistically, genetically. I cannot help you for the next 20 weeks to get you on stage healthily and then last another 6 weeks after that. I said, so just stop the insanity. Let's just do this correctly and go back to basics.
Because you got that experience as an athlete where you've been through these, well, you've done a lot of this stuff, but also you've had those moral decisions and all those sort of things you've investigated. As a coach, you've worked with people that have done it one way and done another way, and they've listened to the advice of other people and that sort of stuff. And also you've got that experience as a judge to understand what in each federation they're looking for.
Absolutely. So
for the people out there that are a little bit confused at the moment, or they're getting different forms of advice, or they're trying to basically say, when I do this, your coach might be saying, when I do this, it works. Why is it not working to you? You must be lying to me. Or there's a good opportunity there for you to be able to help a lot of these people, huh? Yeah,
definitely. And the thing is, it has to be about everyone's personal journey. So I always will recommend a blood test to start. I always go on their body fat mills and how they're coping, because I would rarely start a client in competition mode.
Yeah.
I would usually regulate their lifestyle, because 9 times out of 10, no one is eating enough.
Yeah.
1, to cope with the daily stress of lifestyle and work, partners, and 2, the excess training they may need to do to bring up different muscle groups or get the rest.
Yeah.
So for me, a lot of the times, they'll come to me too late, and I go, I'm sorry, I can't. You're at least 12 months off. So I will make a formal decision, an honest decision. I do not have the capabilities to drag you through this. Why don't we get ready for a photo shoot? You'll get the experience of peaking. We'll be able to monitor your bloods. We'll be able to monitor how your body's coping. If your body then represses and your immune system doesn't cope, and then we aim for next season. So at least I have a chartable progress to see how you are coping, rather than the pressure of getting in there and then asking for, everything but the wallpaper to get you through.
The problem is that we live in a very much, and I say this all the time, a microwave society. People don't, and typically the younger generation, and again, I'm sounding like an old man now, but they don't have the patience to wait. They don't have the patience to put in the years to get the results.
So that's the point. I made an ethical decision to myself years ago, particularly after there was one photo shoot I went to, and I said, that is it. I refuse to be people's mother, but I also refuse to hold hands with people who are directly driving towards a car accident. So it is up to coaches out there, and it's also up to the federations to not reward people who are overly saturated with a certain look if you know that they're not well. Yeah. And it's not the responsibility of the judges to go, she's on this and she's on that. But someone has to be accountable, because if you're pushing people to be rewarded for a certain look, and that will always be top-level bodybuilding, and that's just the way it is. But then it comes down to the coaches, and then people have to be morally aware too. Does this person actually care about me, or they just want my money?
Yeah.
So people
they're more worried about their ego. Is their ego more of a problem? Their reputation is what they're focused on.
Absolutely. Yeah. But then you hear most times after the show, that's it. You're unless you pay the extra whatever it is, they don't help you out of the show. So most people probably don't have a great experience due to the fact that they've been brought into the show with a rushed crash effect and then palmed off at the end and never compete again. And I did question that to coaches initially. There was one show we finished after the Nationals. We all went out for dinner and people were dropping like flies around the table.
What do you mean dropping?
Like insulin spikes, someone's falling asleep, someone had almost had like elephantitis from taking too much salt in, drinking alcohol straight afterwards, dairy, people,
Sure.
Yeah, so that was one show, and that was years ago. That was probably 2004.
Yeah.
I'll never forget that. And even the coach, he went to hospital.
Yeah. So reverse dieting wasn't sort of a thing back then?
No.
It's just
but it's so hard. So much of it, it's all based on experience and not just trial and error, but those sort of stories. Like, for example, we've been talking a lot about drugs and that sort of stuff, but probably one of the most significant things I've seen vary between individual athletes is their response to carbs. Like a very simple process of reloading some carbs prior to a show.
Yep.
That can turn someone from their 12-week campaign to making them look fat and puffy to then being full.
My first pro debut, and I tell you, I went off social media for 6 months for embarrassment, and I remember my critique was, you need to pull in your lower abdominal wall. And I didn't have a lower abdominal wall because we used a vertigo effect. And
I remember that.
Yeah.
Terrible. No, my hair was bad as well. But I swelled up, I tell you, and we could see it on my skin. I said, what is going on? I said, my stomach, I cannot.
You had IBS,
this.
Correct?
Yeah.
So the vertigo is a slow, it would have fermented in your guts, right?
It's terrible.
Yeah.
And then doing this sexy bloody routine and looked like I just slonked out there like a dog about to have puppies. It was terrible. And there's nothing you can do. And then you're going into your mandatory poses and I'm thinking, how am I going to make this work?
Wow.
Yeah.
That's that's so
terrible.
Annoying. So
you need
effectively,
the Fairies with Boots song. That's what you need. The fairies wear boots.
Oh, no, that was the next show. Actually looked good for that when they said I walk like a fairy. I thought, I've got this. And, structurally too big and walk like a fairy. Okay.
That's weird.
But the thing is, that's fine. I can take all that personal criticism, but when you come down and you go, okay, right, so this particular carb protocol did not work for me, and it was, and that was my pro debut, and it was just such a big build up because I'd been, on suspension for 12 months, and I'd gone from NABA to IFBB, and then.
Oh, no.
It looked like I needed to do a very large pop-off.
Yeah.
And that was the critique. You need to pull in your lower abdominal wall. I thought, well, yeah, I did, but I couldn't.
Yeah.
So then when I came back, and then I was too scared. And I remember my coach, and it was John Davies, ringing up and saying, have you eaten?
Yeah.
AM, please let me tell you, have you eaten?
Yeah.
No, I'm too scared. You have to eat. You'll be flattened out. You will not be able to fill up. I said, I cannot go through that experience again. And I think I had an apple, and then one of my friends had come over, my best friend Sky, and she said, babe, you've got to eat. And I said, I'm too scared. I cannot throw away another show because of being scared about carbohydrates. So then it took me psychologically to rebuild myself to be able to eat again. And even one of my close friends, Logan, came to me in the last show, had to remind you. And this is even from my experience.
Yeah.
Have you eaten? AM, you have to eat.
Yeah.
No, there's so much on the line. AM, if you don't bloody eat, you're going to be too flat. You're too skinny in the face. You've got that shoe face. You have to eat.
And this is where we get all these crazy...
Yeah, I did.
Good.
I did.
Yeah, and these are all the interactions. So you go... Like, for example, your response to those carbs partly may have been because of your salt imbalances, because of a particular diuretic protocol.
Yep.
And this is the whole thing that takes a lot of experience, but also... I hate to say it, but lots of trial and error and a lot of testing.
Absolutely.
And a lot of these protocols need to be trialled or you need to have some experience before
and it had taken me, like I had to visually look like I was 7 kilos heavier. So I'd gone from figure up to bodybuilding, which didn't suit me, and then back to physique, which was super hard, probably how I looked in NABA, but probably 5 kilos heavier. And I struggled with all that food. And then once again, blood tests come, my liver was shot probably way too high protein levels.
Right.
I live like an A blood type when I'm O.
Right. Yeah.
So, you know, and that's no one's fault, but it's still to this day, no one put a gun to my head with that Vitago, let me tell you. But I'll never take it again. But maybe now it would be different. But once again, trial and error is effect, and stress as well. And
the amount of top level bodybuilding, typically the guys that I was following, and I know it's probably even more so with the females in terms of the intricacies around their hormones, but it takes years to really this protocol works for me. This doesn't. No, I don't like that. That doesn't work. You know, yes, this food works for me. And look, and as I said before as well too, and I'm not anti-drugs. I'm just anti-ignorance. I'm anti people not educating themselves on what it does and taking personal responsibility, because your coach potentially, especially if they're a Johnny-come-lately, is there for 5 minutes.
That's right. And a lot of the times we're saying, we have a laugh about it. Someone might win a show, next thing they're a prep coach, and you'll go, okay, I'll go, that's great. I said, but what actual degree of experience do you have? And
then they can show what they did.
That's it.
That's them.
They're reproducing what their coach gave them from last year.
Online, females can't train, get guys ready for shows. I said, how is that relative? So there's a lot of depth into the questions that you would need to ask a coach before you take them on. So regardless if people want male or female, what is your experience? I'm happy that you've won a national title.
My age.
Exactly. So how have you helped somebody, and then how have you helped them out if there's a problem? Because that's another thing too. So I found over the time, and you know, other peers of mine as well worked at different places will then use your protocols that you've used for them on their clients.
And then it's a one size fits all.
And I go, I said, that's all fine until something goes wrong. And I said, but you forget to remember, and it might be, say her name's Shirley. Shirley, remember when you were constipated and blah, blah, and we were still trying to get the contraceptive assisted? Oh, that's right, I forget. So you have given this to this person who is 6 years younger than you, who has extremely high metabolism, who it goes wrong. And that's when then people get these really mixed results, and then usually fall sick. And that's the scary part. That's what I said.
But to know when they're on the wrong path too, it takes a lot of experience, but also a lot of clinical knowledge to know the tip of the iceberg signs to say that someone's on a really bad path here.
That's it.
I need to be able to say, I need to know when to pull them up.
That's
and
it.
say, I've seen this before and that person almost died. We better stop now.
And that's the thing, death. The thing is, it is pushing
towards
it. That's a nasty side effect. Is death.
And it is a realistic
permanent as well.
But coaches then, I don't know why it has to be. Oh, look, this is my client. I can't share the experience. This client of mine has these symptoms. Oh, I better keep it to myself. Let's just patch it up,
because it's ego based.
Absolutely. Why wouldn't you go to someone who's more experienced than yourself? Or let's go to the doctor. Because it might be something simple. I said, but why not say, listen, I've got this client with these particular problems, blah, blah, blah. I had a client getting ready for a show, and he hadn't disclosed he was a celiac. And his legs swelled up like these sausage casings within 2 hours. I remember coming back to the gym to look at him, and I went, did you just run to Brisbane and be eating salty peanuts, and you decided to take like the female morning after pill? What happened to your legs? What do you mean, coach? I said, oh shit, okay. You need to sit down. We're just going to pop your legs up. Okay, so we're just going to stop this protocol, blah, blah, blah. Oh my God. Okay. So once we started talking about, you know, what have you done, blah, blah, and we counted back for his food, went to someone who was more experienced than I was doing, and then went to, let's go on GP. What's going on? Because I want to stuff up your prep because of having too many simple sugars. What can we do? Opposed to then giving, okay, let's take 20 diuretics for heart medication to get that fluid out of your legs.
It's crazy. And the funny thing is
some people would do that.
We've been talking about federations and bodybuilders and physiques and all that sort of stuff. But it's really important for the listeners out there, because we get a lot of mums and that sort of stuff listening to this show as well that may not be directly in this industry. Understand that the highest reason for, in America, middle, what do they call it? Middle school? So they've got middle school children. They're looking at about 3%. This in the 90s, they analysed the rates of anabolic steroid use in middle school.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And it was about 3% of the students. So what's that? You know, it's 1 in 40, 50 sort of people using steroids, but it was even numbers between the male and the female.
Yeah.
And they were both using exactly the same protocol.
Wow.
The blokes were doing it, and when they questioned them, cheerleaders, so the highest rates of steroid use in middle school in America were female cheerleaders. And they used it because they believed it would improve their performance.
Yeah.
They didn't actually, and the blokes were using it to get bigger.
Yeah.
For their sport of choice.
Yeah.
And the women specifically using it to improve their cheerleading performance.
Well,
so you can imagine,
kind of funny.
and that was in, you got to
Well, it's
remember,
not
so
funny,
that was in
it's
the
sad.
90s.
Sad.
That was in the 90s in America. So,
no,
typically things will be expanding out from there. So
I just moved back down from central Queensland. And look, I help people with lifestyle plans. And I just will do their pinch tests. And this is normal, as I said, normally I will see them first for their consultation and I'll do their pinches. And I said, listen, to get the best actual results, let's just get a blood test to see where your levels are, blah, blah, blah. And then someone will say, just letting you know, I'm taking a testosterone, or they'll produce a bottle of blue stuff. And I'm like...
You told me about this. This is
But
a photo shoot,
these aren't
right?
athletes.
Right.
These aren't athletes. This is people doing shift work.
yeah.
And I'm like, okay, but I take this blue stuff to help me cope.
What's the blue stuff?
Exactly. And I go, well, what is it? And they go, it's Clenbuterol. I go, well, where's the label? Oh, no, there's no label. They took the serial number off. I said, well,
What's this serial number thing? Is that
Well,
so
they take it off so it can't be traced back
can't
to
be traced. So if
compounding.
it's all off
okay.
the back of a truck
Yeah.
or whatever,
Okay,
or
right.
someone's bought,
So
a slab of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I said to him, I said, well, what meg is it? I don't know. Well, what dosage did you take? Oh, we just got told to take a mil. I said, but how do you know if exactly is that product? And I said, but also too, how do you know what dose you need to take as an individual? Like where it's so many there's too many variables. It's like asking how long's a piece of string. And I said, you need to stop that right now.
Yeah. And if they're not getting the results I expect, do I double it?
Yeah,
So-
but
or do I look
how
at
are you
changing
measuring?
something
Are you
else?
taking your temperature? Are you?
Yeah.
What are you doing? Are you going? You do 50 shakes a second like a maraca?
There is
like, what are
so
you
much
doing?
of this. So much of this industry is basically saying, "Hey, some person did this once.
And
They
it's-
told me
yeah.
to do it. It worked for them. It's
Yeah.
worked for me. I'm now going to tell you to do it."
Yeah.
And that seems to be what a lot of
And
it is.
the
It's
interesting
not a lot
thing
of testing.
Well, Clenbuterol, for example, and this is the very limited amount that I educated myself on, and this is way back when, because I haven't used any form of steroids or any performance-enhancing stuff for probably the best part of a decade now.
Yep.
But the thing with Clenbuterol is that I learnt that it actually depletes taurine out of the body, which is obviously a major issue for the heart.
Yep.
So you need to be supplementing with taurine. The other thing as well too is it can also dry out the arterial walls.
Yep.
Yep.
So if you're not getting enough essential fatty acids, which a lot of people, if they're really cutting back on their fats,
Yep.
for example, your omegas, and I've heard of as well too, a popular guy, really good guy, who's training, he actually died of a aortic dissection. Is that how you say it, Matt?
Don't know. Yeah.
Just basically split apart. Now, part of that was because his fats were too low, but he was also taking these other compounds
Yeah.
as well too. Like, as you say, some serious side effects, even from what people would consider to be benign. So
Well,
unless you know what you're
beta-alanine-
doing...
Beta-alanine is a known taurine transport inhibitor. It directly creates taurine deficiency. So unless you know that, I'm loading up someone beta-alanine because it's good as a pre-workout, and then at the same time as they're on Clenbuterol, they could have a major taurine deficiency. It could result in a heart attack.
But
So-
but this is another thing. So the thing is, I used to have a lot of pageant girls or girls who need to be multifaceted for fitness, bikini, pageant, and modelling and auditioning as actresses for whatever commercial or whatever. And then they're on Clenbuterol or on Better Boosters or whatever, but they don't eat.
No.
And they're living on energy drinks.
Yeah.
And I said, but I don't understand what you want me to do with your food when I think you're going to have a heart attack. I said, but you're happy to get $1,200 worth of crap in your face, but you won't allow me to go, let's get a blood test
Yeah.
and stop that. I can promise you, we can get this, look a certain way, and you will survive all these shoots and whatever. Why do you need to take this? But the
Yeah.
reason, but the other girls do it.
Yeah.
It's easier for me, and it makes you feel good.
Yeah, there's so much of it. Other people do it. I think I can do it too. I don't want to miss out.
I don't want to miss out.
And
I don't want to miss out.
Jeff just mentioned something earlier that, and I hope we can edit this out if it sounds dicky or offensive or something. But you mentioned that you went through a phase where you took some anabolic steroids or something like that.
Yeah.
Unless you maintain that diet and that exercise, you haven't maintained that muscle.
No.
I mean, you got that muscle memory that comes back really quick when you get a bit of training. And I said, but but that sort of stuff, you've got to maintain it.
Yeah, absolutely.
There were some side effects that you experienced through it that have maintained.
Well, I didn't know about the side effects of stanozol, which actually make my hair started to fall out because I was predisposed
So we talk
to
almost daily about your hair.
Exactly.
But
so now I'm trying to work out how to, which Matt's actually done a good job in helping me
Yeah.
maintain it, and actually it did start to regrow because I had a full horseshoe appearing about 10 years ago.
Right.
But I'm still thin, if that makes sense,
Yeah.
which we're actually working on.
Solar panel for a sex machine.
Right.
That's
a broken
clearly
sex
that's what
machine.
I thought. That's what I
But
thought when I walked in.
what's interesting though, and I didn't educate myself about that. Now going forward, I did a lot of research and a lot of study. Now that's something that's aesthetic that annoyed me and upset me greatly.
But what if you're a girl and it was your jaw?
I was just about to say.
Or your hair, because a male pattern.
Well, I can shave my head and I'll be fine with that,
Well,
right?
hair on your back.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was standing in line, and this girl kept on. I was standing in line waiting to go on stage, and this girl in front of me.
A girl.
Girl in
The
front of me.
silverback.
She kept on doing this, like she kept on grabbing her shoulders, and she was knocking me. Oh, sorry, babe. Sorry, babe. And she said, sorry. I shaved my back last night, and
I shaved my back.
This is what she said.
I
She
did
goes-
not know that.
She said I shaved my back and it's growing back. I'm all itchy, and I went, ooh, okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, I knew that
But the
girls could
voice
get
change and
hair, a little bit of
Yeah.
hair here, and
Yeah.
maybe around the nipples, but I didn't
Yeah.
realise that would actually be as androgenic to actually cause.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
so like-
how naive am I.
It's just
There you go.
interesting. So they're all the discussions I think that need to be
Well,
taken. We don't care what people do. Is the
I don't care what
people
you
can
do.
do whatever the hell they like, but
So long as you know what the
make
side
an
effects are.
educated decision.
That's the thing. So the
Yeah.
thing is, if you are walking into an environment that you don't know, like be situationally aware. Just
Yeah.
remember, sometimes coaches do not have the inclination to support you for the next year,
Yeah.
2 years, 20 years after you are experienced all these side effects. So be well researched. And as I said, for why I lasted so long, I charted my whole career. I still have the same diet that I started with to where I am now. I went to doctors, and I also went to doctors who I got a lot
Sympathetic.
of not sympathetic. I got a lot of the feministic. You're anorexic. You're gym
Right.
chunky. It's
Yep.
in your head. Blah blah blah. You need to, your irritable bowel syndrome. And I go, well, how far can I actually push myself without actually killing myself in the gym? Oh no, you need to take up yoga. Blah blah blah. I said, well, I consider myself an elite athlete, and I want to perform at a high level. Yes, I made the decision. I don't want to have kids and things. That's fine. But I need to know where I'm at with my bloods to know that I can actually digest. I know that my AST and ALT levels in my bloods are not going to be that high, so my blood's not as thick as wax. So I've always had, but particularly because I've seen what happened to my dad, I suppose, from a heart attack when I thought we were relatively healthy.
Yeah.
So, and then people doing, taking whatever for whatever reason, that's fine. Like, that's everyone's personal decision to get the goal they want at whatever certain time. But just remember, not everyone has your virtue or your outlook, on their agenda the rest of their life.
Can we talk about some of the side effects specifically with regards to women that are irreversible, and what percentage of women are using these drugs that you've seen that don't know about the side effects? I'm talking about the jaw, the voice, and the clitoris. Specifically, because I mean, and again, for people who are listening to this podcast going, oh, this is all about high-end,
No, it's
bodybuilding
not.
and
It's
all
not
that.
at all.
It's not, as
It's
you
not at
said. I
all.
mean, we
No.
know that a vast majority of the,
Yeah.
well, not majority, but a vast section of society are using a lot of these things because they've been told in the locker room, that they should be using it as well.
Absolutely. So, but I think psychologically as well, Matt, like you'll find people who probably competed for a couple of years who have done multiple courses. They're very difficult to talk to or don't have a grasp on reality. So,
But dihydrotestosterone has been shown to change brain infrastructure that's irreversible. Yeah, that
Irreversible.
leads to aggression, the road rage, the roid rages.
Yeah.
The changes in your ratios of neurotransmitters you can alter.
Yeah.
But the infrastructure changes, the types of brain receptors and the changes. And this is what we talk about. Once bone, connective tissue, collagens, like physically infrastructure has changed, that stuff's hard to reverse.
That's
How come
right.
it seems to last with women though, not with men? Like, for example, I was using testosterone and some other stuff as well too, which a woman takes that, immediately her jaw's going to, bulk out, her voice is going to deepen, and again, she's going to have, changes to the nether regions. But with a guy, so much, as you said before, Matt, it hasn't maintained for me. And I play football now, like soccer. So like I'm actually trying to get leaner, not trying to maintain a lot of muscle bulk. But
But cellularly, it'd have to change because it's complete opposite. So there's actually been a whole restructure, as with men. It's just enhancing and depleting, as it's actually been a whole complete change. And then your body takes it on as almost like a formidable new muscle form.
Well, remember I mentioned earlier that your muscle memory has remained.
Yeah.
When you train and when you eat, you actually do go back. So the infrastructure, the connective tissue, the bone connective tissue, the origins and insertions that you created during that phase, they've remained. What has changed is how full your muscles are. Now, the same thing is with your testicles. So let's talk about your testicles now, Jeff.
My favourite subject.
In the past, for example, they empty out in regards to that. A negative feedback says you don't make testosterone from those nuts. So in the process, you don't make the sperm, and then they empty. Yeah. So but then when they fill up, they go back to normal. So your muscles, when you're using gear that will drive sugars in, increase that, you're eating well, they stay full. When you stop, they flatten out.
Yeah.
But what has remained what has remained that you did change was the infrastructure in regards to connective tissue, bone, cartilage. So a lot of that sort of stuff, the sarcomeres, that connective tissue sock that's used to hold those extra muscle bundle, that sort of stuff stays. That's why you can build up really fast. That's why as soon as you go back in, you get some water and sugar and salt into those things, all of a sudden everything puffs back up. And this is what we're talking about with the changes that occur in both men and women. With men, they've already got that jaw, like you're saying. So they've already got those sort of
masculine
genetic material.
Features.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So when a female goes from having very low levels of these actions and low levels of those receptor activation to a higher level, they make the changes to the bone, the connective tissue, and all of those regions that we discussed. Those sort of things, depending on how much growth and change you get, most of that stays. It's the fullness of the cells in regards to sugars and water and salt that changes, that makes the muscles and everything go flatten again. But the architecture, the anatomy, physiology has changed and stays.
But a lot of the times too, after they've finished the show and there may have been any post-cycle therapy, that's when we're saying about the estrogens are still in the system and they're skyrocketing, and then they'll take either more or then their ghrelin levels have changed because their body is then demanding a certain amount of food, and then they're already in reverse thyroid. So there's a famine mode anyway. So then they swell and they go, God, why can't I lose all this bloody weight? Oh, it's because I'm so muscular. No, you're not. You've got that much crap intramuscular, and your liver's just not coping. It doesn't know what's going on.
I can imagine there'd be a whole group that goes, oh, geez, I need to get back on the gear.
My
metabolism's shut down.
You need to be able to find me to get the best source of it. I go, you are sick. Sick.
Because they might be thinking, oh, look, I've stopped the gear, calories have come in.
But then they go to the next coach. I've had one girl, she's been through 16 coaches.
What does that say?
I just said, but I said, I am going to be the doorstop. I'm going to help you because your liver is going to fall out your butthole.
And they always ask like a joke first. They go, oh, this person told me I should do this. Waiting for you to say, yes, you should. That way, if you go, no, I disagree, they go, I was only joking. I didn't really want to talk about that.
I see through all that crap. Yeah. But you can usually smell it. I don't know why. I don't know if because I've died for so long, I could probably smell a wheat bick 100k away behind a brick wall. But and I don't know if it used to be Monday mornings, you'd work in the gym, and I'd go, someone's on way too much acetylcarnitine. I don't know if it makes you more receptive to senses, but if someone will come into the office and they might be perfumed up and beautiful makeup, and then they start to calm down, and you'll go, I can smell something coming out of your skin. And it's not normally just you've had a steak lunch or had Indian. It's usually some sort of biochemical. And I'll go, sweetheart, besides all this crap you're telling me and I'm writing down, you've been taking something, maybe not be 6 months, maybe 8 months. It's aromatized in your system. I can smell it coming out of your sweat glands. You can't probably smell it, and it's reacting with your deodorant, which is trying to mask it, which is another heavy metal. So
what's your advice to, let's start with maybe the lay person who looks up to the fitness community, who looks up to the, the figure and, and go, you know what? Maybe I don't want to get on stage, but I want to take a leaf out of their book. I want to get lean. I want to get fit. And is maybe considering going beyond natural means.
Okay, look. I think anyone who goes beyond natural means, you're taking a step to the dark side. I don't think, unless you're at top level or you have a genetic defect or you
hormonal disorder.
I would say hormonal disorder. You need it. Trust me.
And you can get good results and that are not going to have the negative side effects by just staying natural.
Like really, a lot of the times when people say, what's the ratio between training and diet and rest? I'm going to say, if you want to train at a peak level and look a certain way, it has to be 90% is nutrition. You have to look into, and that takes in supplementation as well, from a vegetarian or vegan type of supplementation. I said, because that's something you can sustain. Yeah. Rather than course running, biochemistry, synthetic, whatever, I'm going to say no. And I'm going to be adamant about that, being from the dark side and seeing a lot of good people get sick.
Yeah.
Unless there is hormonal issues. And seriously, I've come across people who have to be on growth hormone because they're 4'9". Yeah. And they have amazing muscles, but they're 4'9". They've got the limb structure of a duck. So the thing is, they're going to fill up with muscle a lot better than someone who's 6'2". Yeah. And that's just the way it is, honey. Yeah. That's why gymnasts are short.
Hey, there's one thing. So, okay, let's just say that I do the Ronnie Coleman protocol.
Yep.
I'm finely tuned athlete. I'm an 18-year-old woman here too, by the way. No, right. And I've done the Ronnie Coleman because I'm prepping for a bikini photo.
Right. Okay. Yep.
So now I get to my absolute pinnacle peak, whatever we want to call it for that. How long does this last? Am I talking one show, one photo shoot? Because when a lot of people see these things and go, I want to look like that. Yeah. They only look like that for 48 hours.
Yeah. So my argument is, if you can run your body fat and you stay under, and I call them in mils, so body fat percentage. So if you can stay relatively low all year round, not extremely low, I'm saying 12%, 9%, you will be able to maintain that, because that is a healthy lifestyle, and it's not too much of a duress on your cortisol levels and daily lifestyle. Yes, you might deplete yourself, and I'm really big on using vitamin C as a diuretic for the shows, because and I usually use it 6 weeks out, I bring it back in, and then I run it all the way through, so your body doesn't go, it goes, oh, this is just normal for me, opposed to, holy crap, my urethra is going to explode because I can't wee, or my kidneys are going to bust out my back. So to me, to have an on-stage condition, if you can run it 10 to 12% all year round, and that's a big commitment.
Sure. Yeah.
That's a big sacrifice. And I'm anti-gluten. Yeah. I'm not anti-dairy. I'm anti-lactose, due to the fact that it reacts in your system. Yeah. So to me, for people who are wanting to look, that on-stage presence for bikini is maintainable. Figure, I find a lot harder, and you'll find that the girls have had to diet a lot harder, so their ghrelin levels, once again, are going to be subsided.
But the thing is I think a lot of these people see these pictures on social media, or they see them in the magazines, and they think, oh, this is what these people look like.
No.
But I've met quite a few of these people in their off-season, and they don't look like that. They look more like the duck that you were talking about.
Yeah, that's right. But this is the thing too. So the last photo shoot I did.
Yeah, and these people go, oh, this is my inspiration. I got their picture on the wall. This is my thing.
I said, bloody Instagram is putting on a shit photo. They are all their best photo out of 1,000 photos. Have gone, okay, this one's It is an unrealistic image of what people would like to portray. It's lifestyle that they want you to portray.
So having those low body fat percentages, it's designed to win a show, get a photo shoot, maybe last for maybe 72 hours a year or something,
72 hours in a year.
Yeah.
Only lasts for a very short period.
You get 3 days.
As a rule, I would not do a shoot at least a month out, because I know what I look like. And then on stage, it's unrealistic what you look like. But I'm saying, if you can stay a lower body fat, like obviously on stage it might, like I said, it was 3 or 5%. Yeah. But then if you can stay a lower, and particularly if your goal is to look like a pro all year round, that is maintainable, because then you can fluctuate between in and out.
What's that?
How long
would 10%.
You stay?
Yeah.
About 10%. Yeah. 3 to 5% is not maintainable.
No.
And how long would you, like for you personally, to be healthy, how long would you want to be staying at a 3 to 5% body fat?
Couldn't do it. Remember, I got adrenal fatigue twice.
Yeah. So what? Literally a couple of days. You're peaking for a show. And
I tried to maintain that for 6 months, and then ended up with Matt going, I'm going to die. Yeah. Got bronchial whatever problems, and then because I needed to keep rocking up these guest appearances, and that's how I got paid.
Right. Yeah.
So then I tried to do that.
Yeah.
Tried to do it as best I can, and then came to you and said, listen, I'm not well.
Because, we're talking body fat percentage for the people out there in the medical world. They talk about, for a healthy menstruating female, around 20 to 25% body fat, which is probably where I am at. Yeah. I don't know, perfect body
very
fat.
Healthy.
Healthy menstruating woman.
I didn't have menstrual for, 10 years?
Yeah, there you go.
So we're looking at 20 to 25% is where the medical world will deem to be at the right level of body fat to maintain hormones and everything. 15 to 20% is more of an athletic, sort of just a general person that's fit and healthy and doing well.
So look-wise, when you say, okay, I want to look a certain way.
But you can't, mate. You go below 15%, and you're taking years off your life.
Absolutely, but also your libido.
Yeah.
So to look a certain way, and you go, I want to
look good naked.
I want to look good
but don't
naked.
You dare touch me.
Don't touch me because it's, I might break. But this is saying, okay, I want to aspire to look one of these pros, and I'm saying, okay, well, to look like that, if you can stay between 10 and 12%, but then there's other side effects of that, how you interact with people. Can you walk outside and actually know where your car is? So if your body fat is too low and you say, but my goal is to look a certain way, there are side effects from look that way. So then if you're going to run between 15 and 90%, you have a better quality of life. You can have a wine. You can your body's going to be more interactive with your menstrual cycle. So then how do you interact with people? Opposed to going, okay, I need to look 10 to 12. 3 to 5% or under 6%, I don't feel, I couldn't find it maintainable for myself or my clients. It's unrealistic.
And you're an ectomorph, which again means you're typically going to carry less body fat on average than someone who's a mesomorph or an endomorph.
And I kept on getting sick.
Yeah.
I just could not keep on backing out. And then we book for events and they go, we need you to be in stage condition. I go, do you mean the day after stage? Because stage condition is very specific. I time that to the absolute. So, but I think so now it is different though, because most people who are getting booked for jobs, they want you more full, which is great, which is in good, but it is still unrealistic.
Well, more people look at your photos than your trophies. So I
haven't kept a trophy.
Exactly. See, I mean, a lot of people to actually, like a lot of the guys I talk about in this industry, they go, right, seriously, I only needed one good photo shoot, and I can just use those for the rest of my life.
But you look at anyone who is actually making money in the fitness industry on Instagram. Haven't competed.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, well, I was going to say,
so make
a lot
it
of them
campaign.
haven't. Yeah. And the funny thing is that the real money makers are the Insta famous people.
Yeah.
Who I don't think any of them have really won any titles at all. I mean, and I'm not discrediting them because they've obviously put in hard work in the gym, but that's not their thing.
But it comes back to the same thing. It is an image industry, so people are getting judged on what they are presenting as a picture. So the thing is, what you'll find now for shows or for competitions, it's not normally just judged on the day.
No.
Let me tell you.
Yeah.
You have a presence. You look at the history of IFBB, the first physique competitor who won Miss Olympia. Didn't have the best symmetry, best genetics, but had a following to then lift that brand. They're running them as companies.
Yep.
And that's just the way it is. It's business.
Well, I remember that Arnold's we had here in Australia where we had Dana Lynn Bailey and Larissa Rees, and they both just got in the bottom end of the top 10. There were that many people that were at that show just to see those two ladies and get a chance to meet those ladies. And even the other athletes, they wanted to get the photos with them and post that up. Not the winners.
No.
And this is the whole thing. A lot of people go to this have this competitive edge or they go to these levels of extreme to win a competition. But maybe if we were to talk to people and go, look, seriously, at the end of that competition, no one cares about trophy. No one's going to talk about who won the Brisbane show.
If you come back and actually talk to clients about,
if I have a photo shoot, if you work towards a photo shoot, you work towards a lifestyle, you work towards a story, you can show these people that you can achieve all your goals. Yeah. You just don't have to kill yourself in the process.
But then a lot of the times too, and I find when you start to connect to people and ask, okay, maybe just people wanting to look a certain way, what is the starting goal? And then people, I just want to win. Okay, well, what if there's no competition?
Yeah.
Why don't you want to have optimal health or be able to maintain a certain way of looking and still enjoy yourself and still have a nice lifestyle or be able to actually enjoy yourself?
What if you beat your competition but lose your own goal, which is your life?
Or like what if
this is the craziness that it's like, okay, so I want to win, who in particular are you trying to beat? Like, it doesn't make sense because at the end of the day, you get to live. The most exciting thing about being someone that's capable of taking control of their body and making an amazing physique is you get to keep that.
Well, there's also, I mean, if you liken this to other competitions as well too, if you said, right, I'm going to be the fastest sprinter in Brisbane, right? You can train, you can do everything else, but genetically, if you don't have the skill sets, you don't naturally, unfortunately, have the gift, you might not be able to pull that off. And I'm not saying that people shouldn't go for their dreams, whatever they happen to be. But at the same time, as you say, and I'm going to extend upon that, if you then have to take it to the next level and effectively start damaging yourself to get there, then you've kind of lost perspective
and destroying yourself.
And you've lost the race.
You say, I just would like people to realise that by trying to achieve a goal, it shouldn't be about destructing your future and your potential just to have well-being because of a quick ego fix.
So what do you want to finish on, Anne-Marie? Because we've been going for a while, and this is we could probably talk for another couple of hours. I mean, and I know that the industry is huge, and there's a lot of great things about the different bodies. I mean, I'm talking about with the IFBB and the WBFF and the idea of promoting health and fitness is noble, and I think sometimes that, again, people can start going down the wrong track. So what's your takeaway message to people looking to either get into, the industry?
I think the question needs to be asked when you're looking for a coach, how have they helped other athletes, not just what they have achieved in terms of personal rewards, in terms of what they've actually placed or won. Does your coach work with a doctor or someone who's actually a specialised professional in their actual realm of expertise? And then also it goes out to the companies as well. Stop rewarding people who look like they've been in concentration camps.
Yeah, yeah, that's funny.
So reward health, reward people who look like they're actually enjoying themselves up there.
That's a good thing you hit on there, that you can't really judge the success of a coach or a company or anything like that by their personal success or their personal physique. You can't just look at a person and go, man, that guy has got the greatest physique, or when he competed in those years, his physique was amazing, or her physique was the best ever. That's why I'm picking there, and that's why I'm using their products, and that's why I'm picking that coach, is because they look like that, and I want to look like that. So the best coaches may not have necessarily been the best athletes.
Best experience I ever had when I worked at the Sports Super Centre as the program specialist was talking to the coaches of the sprint athletes, not to the athletes. They just
do what they're told.
That's exactly right. They just eat, show up, rest, whatever. And normally they're ego-driven anyway, so they just, everyone's giving them they're sitting on their threshold and their pedestal. The coaches are so interesting how they actually program individual athletes, but they also had this sense of commitment to them. And I find that's what it's missing in the fitness industry at the moment. These people thinking, okay, so how are we setting up this particular athlete for the next 5 years, 6 years, or even after the show, if they haven't enjoyed the experience, can I help them do something else? Rather than going, in round and out, you did crap, you need to diet harder, let's put this in your system. And that's what I found with the track and field, where they're thinking, okay, so we've got this event, but if the athlete's not performing, okay, so do we need to back them off to have a rest and go again, opposed to just wiping them off? Because it is run like a business. But then, as I'm saying to people, ask your potential coach, how, if we come up against a problem, how are you going to help me out of it? What are the protocols, or what are the steps to help me get well again? Rather than just say, we got to slowly put cards back in your system.
Yeah. And for the coaches out there that are also then making unrealistic promises too. Like, for example, remember we talked to Luke Lehman. He says he takes a couple of years sometimes to fix metabolic or hormonal damage that people have done through a short period of campaigning to get a particular way. It takes them years to reverse that.
Absolutely.
So
we've got some good friends of the front. So Luke Lehman's great from Muscle Nerds. I mean, obviously we've got Rach White.
Well, the problem is, if you were to ring around, get on the phone, and you're going to ring up and speak to someone like, and Luke might say, it's going to take me 2 to 3 years to get you back to ideal. You got Chris Thomas there saying, we'll prep it, for a couple of years. It's going to do that. Then you get another bloke going, and seriously,
we can do it in 5
12
minutes.
weeks. I'm going to give you a 12-week protocol. You're going to be a finely tuned athlete. Most of these people are going to go to that coach. We've got to understand that if you're a coach out there making unrealistic promises, well, unrealistic expectations lead to disappointment. In the long run, you're better off being more honest and basically saying, actually, I've never done this, but I'm prepared to give it a go. Or
just know the side effects. And always ask, what is this? Why have you just popped it out of that container?
And that's what you're doing as well too, Anne-Marie, aren't you? So if people want to get in contact directly with you, you are doing training and you're doing coaching as well too.
Yes.
So if people want to talk to you, and maybe there might be people out there that are concerned about some of the side effects that they've got.
Absolutely.
Or they might be considering.
And you're not competing anymore, are you?
No.
So you can commit.
So you can talk and help.
I'm very candid and I'm very honest, and I think sometimes too people will find that with me, not so much as I'm direct, but I'm no BS anymore, as I said, because my main concern is people's health. I said, why are we, beating this around the bush when we really need to go straight down this and go, listen, I think you need to do this, and it is an opinion, but I always back it up with a medical concern. Otherwise, Matt and I work closely together and go, listen, I've got this client, I'm really concerned for this reason. You go, don't need to worry. But let's measure it. So that way there is something answerable to come back to make sure, okay, well, the levels are very high. You keep pushing the liver anymore, that there's going to be a problem. And then you're not going to be coming in that crispy effect. So then it's another medication to try and get that. And then that won't be sustained. And that'd be maybe an hour if you don't get the timing right. That's 6 months prep down when we could actually help somebody right now.
So how can people talk to you?
Okay, so you can contact me on social media, obviously. So it's Anne-Marie Lasserre on Facebook.
How do you spell the last name?
Lassere is Lass.
You won't say it.
E double R.
I'm too scared now.
How do you spell the last
How do you spell
name?
your last name?
Lassere.
And
Lassere or Lassere?
It's Lassere.
Lassere.
Lassere. Anne-Marie Lasserre.
It's like Ligier. I think people call me Leg, but Ligier.
Is it leg or léger?
The fuck do I know?
That's like porn star name, léger.
Léger.
Like
I
léger.
think it's Lech.
It's a lot of spitting.
Yeah.
And then obviously on Instagram, I'm probably more so on Instagram than I am on Facebook.
Because you get to look at more pictures and read less crap. Is that right?
Because people get on Facebook and people know I'm on it and they'll just use me like a nurse, and I'll be like, I don't want to see pictures of your balls.
Well, thanks, Anne-Marie.
Thank you for having me along, boys.
No worries. We'll have you back on more and we can talk some more. I'm sure that we're going to get some more FAQs and some from the listeners.
Yep.
Whether your fitness figure, you're looking at competing, or you're into sports, any questions that you've got, send them in. And obviously we're happy to get you back on and we can talk.
Yeah, for sure.
Because as we say, at the end of the day, question everything. It's your body and it's your right to do what you want. But so long as you educate yourselves on what's going to happen.
Just have the research and have the backed up, and then know that if someone gives you an example of A, can they also give you B and C scenario to get you out of it? Because there's nothing worse going, and I've had it. Coaches go, I don't know what to do. I said, you have to know what to do because I don't know what's going on here. So
you've got me here.
Yep. So to make that never happened, I made sure that I was definitely covered in the back end.
Yeah,
cool.
No.
Awesome.
Good idea. How long have you been here now?
Every time.
I'm one of the team now.
Okay. Well,
thanks very much. Lovely to talk to you boys.
No worries. And we'll see you back next time.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Go.
You can cut that, man.
Yeah.
Bob, was it? That's so funny. I don't know where that was going.
Too much information. Actually, talking about cutting. Cut all this.
Cut all that.
Cut all that
Stuff.
Nobody wants.
John,
Gosh.
Cut all that.
Yeah, cut all that.
No, he didn't cut it last time. Jeff, he didn't cut it last time.
That's what you get for calling Vanessa.